Hi, and welcome back to a podcast above a convenience store, Talking Twin Peaks. I'm Joe Fremming from the Joe Down. With me, as always, is Paul Muad'Dib from Cast That Movie. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Joe. How are you doing, buddy?
Uh, Voldemort and all, and the world's on fire, but, I'm hanging in there. How you doing?
Yeah, about the same. Hanging in there, I did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, I think, of Twin Peaks, maybe 7. Oh my God, I don't know. My brain hurts.
Yes. So, Paul, last week, we went deep into Fire Walk with Me.
We
went
did.
Springsteen concert length of 3 hours discussing
Yes.
the film, the missing pieces, secret history, the return, and how that all kind of helped us appreciate the movie a lot more. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. And since we're on that subject, we had some feedback.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes. We should
It's John Bernardi.
John Bernardi, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
John Bernardi gave us a little more information to look into. He wrote an excellent column on the Jade Ring.
Yes, he did. It was absolutely fascinating, and I wanted to highlight that a little bit. He wrote this in April of 2018 for the site 25 Years Later site.com.
Which is an excellent site, everybody, for pop culture stuff. I'm going to plug them because they got a lot of cool stuff on that website. It's not all Twin Peaks either. They have some other things going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So he's done a couple of articles on the ring, on the Owl Ring, but on this one it was kind of an update, and I really liked his views on it. That the Owl Ring is the portal to the waiting room, which is kind of what you and I had said. It channels power into you to achieve your highest ambition, which we had talked about. It gets you to your peak, but then what he got to is it begins reabsorbing that power the moment the ambition is achieved, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a lengthy article, which I love. I love long form, but yeah, he goes into some areas that I honestly had not even thought about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the zigzags, you can feel the zigzag backward realm of the Red Room has leaked out into the real world. I mean, just really cool stuff. Getting into the masking, the wearer's ability to exert their ring, their will. Absolutely fascinating article. That's really awesome that he's listening to the show. And I was reading his that article, and I just really wanted to shout that out and say that's really cool that we have a guy that writes articles listening to our podcast. Like, wow, how awesome is that?
That was great, yeah, and like how the wearer of the ring, once they how he phrased it, like they achieve their full potential, then that's when the ring starts demanding the energy back. Yeah, it's really interesting, and it really makes me think about stuff, and I love it. Yeah, John, you rock.
Yeah.
We also have another viewer I want to call out, Kwong. Get caught up, damn it. We need you to be listening.
Yeah, catch up, Kwong.
Damn it.
And I was just going to say, I'm going to throw this out here to John as well, if he's listening to this episode, which I'm sure he is. Always be willing to bring him in as a special guest if he wants to come in for one of our episodes, especially maybe when we get into the books and the deeper lore. I think it'd be really cool to have his perspective on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I am 100% behind that. John, just be glad you're not doing what we're doing tonight.
No.
Sorry, if you're a fan of these episodes, I apologize, but not really. I'm still mad.
What are we doing tonight, Joe?
You see, Paul, after Fire Walk with Me, for every peak, we need a valley, and we descended into Bullshit Canyon here because this is the post-Lynch Frost era of Twin Peaks.
Oh.
A show without an anchor because the network demanded the anchor be cut from the ship. It's bad. This is really, really bad, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not all. Look, Frost and Lynch left crumbs. They had a game plan for how the season was kind of going to end. I remember seeing an interview with Frost where he said, yeah, kind of like they walked away, but they had a blueprint of where the show was supposed to be going that
Mhm.
I think they just kind of assumed the writers were gonna do. But my guess is the only blueprint was for Cooper
That's my guess.
and Briggs, and that's it. Because everybody else, they're just throwing everything at the wall, and we're not going to go in depth because, frankly, we have our own sanity to try to. But you have the attempt at a Bobby Audrey relationship,
Yep.
which, um, uh, as we've mentioned before, James flies off a cliff, dies, and mysteriously comes back in the return. I have no idea how that happens because he's just really cut. His story's just cut down real short all of a sudden.
Oh, we could hope, right?
Oh God, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of yeah, Ben Horn. A lot of this could have been handled better, I think, under better writers. Ben Horn's descent after everything that happens to him, that like a trauma of whatnot, I would believe, it could have been done very well, but God damn, it isn't.
No, it's not.
And honestly, in full disclosure, everybody, and I fast forwarded through all the James and Ben Horn stuff because it does not bring anything to the story.
I full disclosure, I also fast forwarded through the James stuff. I didn't do some of the Ben Horn stuff, but believe me, I wanted to.
I did. I couldn't deal with it. Like, look,
Fair enough.
there's
I
just
don't
some
blame you.
things. Even I have my limits, and I sat through 3 seasons of Fuller House for my blog.
Yeah, you did.
The episodes we're going to be discussing today is 6 of them, but this is really much. It picks up a bit after these. These are just like
Yes.
these are the dark years. These are like the gas leak years, if you will.
Pretty much.
Dispute between brothers, Masked Ball, the Black Widow, Checkmate, Double Play, and Slaves and Masters.
Yes.
Now, let's just, okay. I think we should just go through cut out the stupid storylines right away. Ben has a mental break from the events that happened. He almost going to jail for the murder of Laura Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
Becomes a Civil War enthusiast or whatever to deal with this trauma. It breaks after the South re-win.
Yep, the South re-wins the war, which is like
South
the
wins
worst
the war.
thing.
Philip K. Dick reality.
Yep.
It's stupid. Bobby Briggs tries to blackmail Ben into a job.
Yeah, which is weird.
Leo comes back only to get stabbed and beat up again, and he has the birthday cake on his face from like 5 weeks ago. Yep, and Wyndham Earl catches him. Who cares?
The only, and they're going to get into it, but I do want to say I felt a parallel with the Wyndham Earl, which was just a terrible way it was done. I felt like I was supposed to have this Frankenstein like tie to it.
Yeah.
And it just went nowhere. Like even that had moments where it could have been interesting. Like it would have been really cool to see him build up Leo to be his murderous thing.
Yeah, that would have been interesting, but
we didn't get that. We didn't get that.
No, hell no, we didn't get that. We got a lot of bullshit. We got oh god, Nadine starts dating Mike. Who cares?
Who cares?
Jacoby helps Ben with his psychosis. Who cares? The one thread line, because it just ties in. Hank and Cooper's okay. We'll just do this now. Cooper is let go from the FBI.
Yes.
For what we've been complaining about all of season 1 and 2, and that he's breaking all these federal laws.
Right.
And he gets okay. So before all this starts, let's just say the events of these episodes take place 3 days after the last two episodes we watched. This is the first time we really see a significant time jump.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cooper is he's suspended from the FBI for obviously committing all these crimes and
Valid reasons. Valid reasons.
valid reasons. And I was actually kind of happy. This would have been a very interesting journey if it wasn't just like, God, they just blowing this too by having him. He becomes deputized by Harry.
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Although that would have been more interesting if he hadn't been allowed to come back to the FBI too.
Yeah, and then so his superior, I forget what his name is.
Stone.
Yeah, he's a good character actor. He's been in a lot of
Clarence William III.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I like him a lot.
Him and a Mountie come in. The Mountie kind of looks like that cop Bobby killed.
He looks like the cop Bobby killed. And
It's
you know right away he's a bad cop. Like, they don't even hide it.
No, the fact is he's hiding with Jean Reno at One-Eyed Jacks. One, if the FBI is doing an internal investigation in the ongoings of Cooper taking on going into One-Eyed Jacks, where there's been multiple homicides, you'd think the FBI would be staking that place out and they'd see that Mountie.
Right. But remember though, he's deep cover, and you know that's the story, that he's deep cover trying to get Jean Reno. You would think they would know this. It's just that this was a corrupt Mount. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and why is Jean Reno going back to One-Eyed Jacks? And then he tries to use Hank to squeeze Ben out of something he owns, even if it's like a shell company in his, like, to keep his name off the paper. He'll still own that property. He
Right.
could burn it to the ground if he wants and ruin Jean Reno's drug. It's really.
I know.
All right, so Cooper's let go, but we do get a cool, which is the reason you have to watch these episodes, because it does. This is when we first start hearing about the lodges.
Yes.
Briggs wants to take Cooper on a fishing trip, which my guess here, because he brings them. What happens is him and Cooper go on this fishing trip. I believe they're near Jack Rabbit's palace.
I think they're near. Yes, I think they're near Jack Rabbit's palace, which becomes a big deal in the return.
Yeah, Jack Rabbit's palace is the portal into the White Lodge.
Yes.
It looks a lot like Glastonbury Grove in that except that instead of multiple trees circling a pit of black oil, it's one tree, and it's white oil. That's
yes.
And so I believe Briggs brings them closer there. Secret History fills in some of these gaps on why he wanted to bring Cooper along, and that we find out Cooper is supposed to be his replacement, or
yes.
his replacement as at this facility. Cooper goes and takes a piss. An owl hoots at Briggs, and he vanishes. And we see a hooded figure. I think they didn't know what this lodge is supposed to look like because, again, Lynch and Frost have walked away from the project.
Are locked away. Right. Yeah, there is an interesting line, in there that I thought was kind of funny. Nothing like urinating in the open air, is what Cooper says. This is where Briggs starts to become interesting. And the other thing that was going on is at the funeral, Dougie and
Dwayne Milford.
Yes, Dougie and Dwayne Milford. And
Dougie Milford is huge in Secret History.
Huge.
Which pains me because I have to watch this episode because he's such a pivotal character in it. Fuck you, Mark Frost. God damn it.
Right. Yeah, it was he's we'll get into that. I don't want to get into it because really in this one he's just more of a arc for something, I don't know. And
the title is a dispute between brothers. We find out Dougie wrote an editorial in the town's newspaper against Dwayne when he was running for mayor, and he was running unopposed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so when we do an episode on Secret History, we'll get more into Dougie. He's just pivotal with the Owl Cave Ring and Project Blue Book and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Here, he's just some old guy who marries a much younger woman.
Yep, who's a Black Widow.
Yeah. Dick Tremaine, Andy, Lucy.
I don't care.
They did them wrong. They did them wrong. And I don't even want to talk about it. This is the
dumbest fucking thing. We're not going to talk about Nikki.
We're not going to talk about Nikki. No, we're not going to talk about Nikki at all.
We are not going to talk about Nikki at all. It's just terrible.
Jeffries is my avatar with that one.
Yeah.
Briggs is on the search of something called the White Lodge. He drops that. Every time he brings up the White Lodge, then something happens where he gets distracted and we don't hear much more about it. It's kind of a theme for the next 6 episodes. But yeah, it's important stuff.
But what we find out, though, is that Norma's mom is M.T. Wentz, and she gave her a terrible review. Cares.
Oh my god.
So yeah, Norma's mom, who came in for like 2 episodes, Norma tells her to get fucked. Who gives a shit?
She leaves without her husband, Ernie.
Yeah, she does.
Ernie's wrapped up with Hank Jennings. This goes to the whole. So this is the thread.
Yeah, this is like
they gotta get Jean Renault. Jean Renault is doing a drug deal with Hank. Ernie's dumb. He gets busted with surveillance photos. He's used as bait. There's a standoff between Jean Renault and the cops after he kidnaps. Cooper exchanges himself for 2 hostages. Cooper kills Jean Renault. That's it.
Yep.
Cooper wants to buy property in Twin Peaks for some reason. Look, the show is that the anchor was who killed Laura Palmer. That's what kept Cooper in town.
Yep.
And they're trying to find any goddamn reason to keep an FBI man who was stationed, I believe, out of the Philadelphia office.
Yes, he is.
Small Washington town, and it's bad. It's not good.
It's no, it's not good.
Who helps Cooper with this whole cockamamie scheme? Paul, it's Pride Month. We got to talk about Denise Bryce.
I am in love with Denise Bryce.
Yes. We love Denise. Again, this was something you didn't see on TV unless it was like a hokey joke.
Yep.
But like Denise comes in as like a well-rounded character. And yeah, there's some like, like weird looks or whatever from all these small town people. Not that unusual if you've been to a small town if there's a transgender person. But to quote Gordon Cole in The Return, fix your hearts or die.
Yes. And Denise is played by David Duchovny. And this is basically the role that got him the X-Files role.
Yes.
And he plays it with so much care. And the respect that Cooper has for him and the way that he makes everything done, I just think that this is by far one of the best transsexual characters ever on TV. Then to have it on the 90s in 1991 is insane.
And like I brought up, there's some weird looks that Denise gets. She gets it all, but except for Cooper, who's just like all about yeah, this is awesome.
Yep.
He's happy that Denise finally found her way to be comfortable.
Yes.
I love it. Cooper is this is another reason Cooper's such a good character. That he's just this isn't weird or strange to him, especially in the 90s, early 90s. This is 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cooper's just he's just happy that Dennis, who's now Denise, is totally comfortable in his own skin now.
Yep. And
Sorry.
yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Cooper's just like, yes, do what you need to do to make yourself happy. And I'm happy you're happy. Yeah. Just phenomenal.
And then Denise comes back in the return, which is awesome, as the head of
Yes.
the FBI.
Yep.
She is Gordon Cole's boss.
Yep.
And that's where we get the amazing when we'll talk about when it comes to Cole. Basically, like when people were giving Denise shit for coming out, he told them all to fix their hearts or die.
Yep. Fix
He
their
went to
hearts
bat.
today.
Yeah, Cole went to bat for Denise, which is a really
Awesome.
yes.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So that's like the good thing that we get out of this thread.
Yeah.
What else do we got?
Well, I guess also with this thread ends with that. We get Denise, which is good. With the Cooper stuff, with Briggs, in the next episode, Cooper asks Hawk if he's ever heard about the White Lodge.
Yes.
Hawk is, I don't have it memorized, but it's what was it?
I don't remember exactly either.
He's like he explains the White Lodge, and then the Black Lodge is the shadow of the White Lodge, and you have to pass through the Black Lodge, confront your shadow self. You have to meet and pass your shadow self, and you have to go with complete good intentions and no fear to come out into the White Lodge.
Yes.
He also has the dweller on the threshold line with that.
Mm-hmm, that's right. Yes, he does. Which is really cool. But again, shit, we could have known last season, Hawk.
Yeah. Well, nobody asked, and it's weird that it's actually kind of odd that the lodges are brought up in the post Lynch Frost stuff, which means again this is like one of the ideas they're playing with the Black and White Lodge. Even if there's naysayers saying like Black Lodge stuff with Lynch, it's what he called the Red Room in the Fire Walk with Me script. So that's the Black Lodge, and we see a really hokey version of the White Lodge. And let's just follow this thread. So Garland Briggs disappears.
Yeah.
He reappears in his house with Mrs. Briggs and Bobby are talking. Bobby brings up the conversation he had with Garland, where Garland made him cry because he was talking about a happy future.
Yes.
And he shows up looking like a World War II pilot for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, this is the show. The show writers confusing quirky, and they just go full quirk, and it's not good.
It's
Twin Peaks was such a fine line between quirk and dark and all that.
And they fucked it up.
Yeah. So Garland reappears, and he goes. He talks with Cooper and Harry about some of the Project Blue Book stuff he's working on, which is linked to our buddy Dougie Milford.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I believe Secret History. Major Briggs is well aware of Dougie's position and all.
Absolutely, he has to be absolutely.
Yeah. And Gordon Cole is well aware of Briggs. We don't know that in the show. He is Briggs's contact for Project Blue Book.
Correct.
Briggs is about to talk about the White Lodge, and some Air Force people come and take him, and then he comes back in a huff, very disheveled, runs out of breath after he's done with his superiors. He is very concerned about the government's intentions with the White Lodge.
Yes.
And this is the stuff I'm interested in talking about here. This is where this is where we're shining now. This is the stuff I like. It's too bad it's just in these what seems like throwaway scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this whole 6th episode is more concerned about James and flying off that cliff and never be seen again. but we keep seeing like flashbacks of him singing that song because I don't. There's no story with him.
There's no
It's kind
story
of
with
weird.
him.
It's kind of weird that they didn't have some long, boring, convoluted femme fatale story for him, but they
Where he's
decided
working
not
on
to
a
do that.
car? That would have been good. He was working on a car.
Yeah, I mean, but they decided against that, which is an odd choice.
Well, do what you got to do for you guys. Obviously, we're being facetious, people. We're being snarky.
I'm not.
Okay.
Yes. So like so we find out the government has nefarious plans to finding this White Lodge, which is in secret history is obviously a concern between Project Blue Book, which evolves into Blue Rose Task Force, that was started by Philip Jeffries and Gordon Cole. They recruit Albert, Wyndham Earl, Dale Cooper, and Chester Desmond.
Yes, and to run it was Philip Jeffries.
Jeffries he spearheaded this.
He spearheaded it under the watch of Gordon Cole.
Yeah, which comes out of I believe it's been a while since I read this part of it, but it's from the Nixon administration.
Correct.
Nixon got paranoid because he's wearing the ring.
Nixon
during
had
his downfall.
Yep. He had the ring during his downfall. Correct.
Yeah. So this is to me the meat and potatoes, and unfortunately, it's like ordering a sandwich and you get like just a corner of a giant sourdough sandwich, and only like one little corner has some meat in it, and the rest is just bread and cheese.
And some
mayonnaise.
I was going to say, not even mayonnaise. It's more like expired mayonnaise.
Yeah. It's Garmonbozia.
Oh, this is my pain and suffering.
This is our Garmonbozia, everybody.
Yeah, these episodes are our Guards and Bozia. Holy shit. Yeah, so that's the interesting stuff. And again, it's so little of it.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of it, which is it's really dispiriting. But we do get to see a little bit, and this is the weird thing because obviously, without Lynch and Frost, they didn't know what to represent the White Lodge. So Briggs describes it, and he's just like in a weird garden area, which kind of looks like kind of similar to Jackrabbit's Palace area in Return, which I picked up, but it's all like everything's super saturated because they're trying to do stylized 90s nonsense. But yeah, he walks out with 3 triangles scarred on behind his ear, which we find out Margaret Lanterman also has a similar scar, and so does poor Carl at Fat Trout Trailer Park.
Yes, and Dougie Milford.
And Dougie Milford, yeah.
Yep.
And they all have a similar experience. They go in the woods, they vanish, they have no memory. Briggs kind of remembers what happens, but it's more like he's describing the essence of what happens.
He is just disheveled as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's basically it of the cool stuff. Now let's theorize now on the somewhat cool thing. So that was one element they were branching off, I believe, Lynch and Frost. The other element they brought up early on in season 2, and that is the device of Wyndham Earl.
Oh.
Now, I didn't mind Wyndham Earl until we started watching this for the podcast. Like I whatever, he was just kind of like what. But the more I know about the behind the scenes stuff and how they had no idea what they're doing. And that's the problem. We got so much, it was all filler. And what we just described as like the Major Briggs arc is like not even 10 minutes of airtime.
Yeah, it's.
And these are 45-minute episodes. And like.
I know.
We don't even get 10 minutes of the White Lodge stuff so far. And toward the end of these 6 episodes, they start kind of amping up Wyndham Earl, and it starts promising with
The chess moves.
moves in the papers, and
Mhm.
I believe it's in the last episode of this run, we get Albert back, and he describes that Wyndham Earl has been also mailing clothing of his ex-wife,
Yes.
different police departments. And so what happened was Cooper was Wyndham Earl's partner. Wyndham Earl was superior to him in intellect,
Yes.
where Cooper was more of the intuitive guy. He could, he gets these visions and all that. He has the dreams, which we discussed ad nauseum in Fire Walk with Me.
Yes.
Remember those? Remember that? How much fun that was?
That was so much fun.
Can we talk about Fire Walk with Me?
Can we go back to the Fire Walk with Me episode? Yes.
So it turns out Wyndham Earl was committing these crimes. His wife was in protection of the FBI. Cooper falls in love with his wife. Wyndham Earl catches them, and he kills her.
Yes.
Again, this is like setting up for a very good villain.
It's setting up for a very good villain.
And it's executed like a 60s Batman villain.
I told you it was bad, dude. It was bad.
I didn't mind it before just because, like, when I'm watching this casually and I'm not really, like, taking notes. Because I didn't even really take that many notes during this run. I'm not going to lie. The first 2 episodes I watched after I got back from my vacation, and I just drank beer and got mad. And that's the only time I've drank and watched any of these episodes.
Oh, Wyndham Earl is handled so piss poorly.
Because they made it out to be so nefarious in the first, I believe it was in like the double two punch Lynch directed episode of the season.
I think they were. I don't know if the writers were afraid to go dark again. Like I think there was some interference from the reveal and how dark that was, like the death of Maddie. That they could, like, they were just like I think they had more eyes on them. And like, you guys can't do this shit, and they didn't have Lynch there to kind of push back and go, we're gonna fucking do what I want to do because I'm David fucking Lynch.
You don't have Mark Frost actually writing interesting character development of Wyndham Earl. Like, we get, like, I think we got the cliff notes of Wyndham Earl.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we get, he's a bad guy. He was Cooper's partner. This is what happened. And their plan is he's on his way to Twin Peaks. And we knew that from the beginning of the season. Well, now he is in Twin Peaks. And he kills a man. And it starts off so promising. There's electricity's taken out of the sheriff's station. The diversion's created so he can plant a body in the sheriff's station with the chess piece and all that. Kind of hokey today, but it's not bad. This part was not bad to me. The Ted Raimi thing is that'll be in the next couple episodes.
Yeah, the Ted Raimi thing where it really goes off the rails.
But like, here he kills a drifter to announce his next move, and it's creepy, and I think this worked, and it could have been darker, but like you said, I imagine they're getting pushed back from after Lynch traumatized a generation.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
But then when we finally meet him, I mentioned, because we skipped over. I don't care about any of this almost, minus Briggs, Cooper, and I guess now Wyndham Earl. Fuck. Leo wakes up. I don't know how.
God damn it. We're okay.
Shelly stabs him in the leg. Like, this guy, he runs off in the woods. He comes across a cabin, and there's this mysterious man in it, and he says, "My name is Wyndham. Come in."
Yep.
And in the next episode, he's Cesar Romero, Joker. And it's like, whoa, this guy was kind of menacing the last episode, and now he's just like, he's stroking a flute made out of bamboo.
Okay, and this is where I get the Frankenstein reference, right? Because the whole kind of scene to me, if you remember, was it Frankenstein or was it The Return of Frankenstein? One of the movies, and um, where Frankenstein runs out into the woods after getting out of the castle and comes across the old blind man in the woods who plays the flute and takes him in and starts kind of teaching him how to like become a person, and takes kind of pity on Frankenstein. He's the only person that ever truly cared about Frankenstein.
Wait, wasn't this Halloween 5?
Possibly.
Where the homeless guy takes him in after Michael Myers goes down into the sewers.
Well, again, there's combinations thereof. I mean, it's been a thing that's been used a lot, but yes, all right. So
it's the Halloween 5.
Yes, so Halloween 5 essentially, but no, I mean, there was things there that were like, that's why I said, this would have been really cool, because basically you got this muted, dumb Leo, and it would have been interesting to see him actually, like, Wyndham put this malice and this menace and make Leo menacing again. And what do we get? Nothing.
No, he just makes him write letters.
Yeah, makes him write letters. Oh, okay, that's menacing.
Yeah, it's part of me kind of likes that now Leo's on the receiving end of an abusive relationship.
Correct.
But they could have done it so much better.
So
problematic for me, just because it's so stupid. Like, again, Wyndham Earl, one episode he comes out of the shadows, seems like a dark, nefarious figure, and we'll see that again in the this is basically the series finale, season 2's finale. Lynch brings that in.
He does.
So, like, Wyndham Earl's back to being more of a nefarious, evil character, which I imagine was what him and Frost planned him to be, and they probably saw what the hell was going on, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to get back. We got to right this ship."
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is not. It was terrible. Wyndham Earl was very, 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 very wasted. I think had they written Wyndham Earl right from the start, when Lynch and Frost left, this season would have been better, because this is what it needed. But without Wyndham Earl, really, and like you brought up, you nailed my analogy for Wyndham Earl that I've always had for years, which is he's Cesar Romero. He is a 60s villain, Batman villain, and it's not menacing, it's not scary, it doesn't work. And all it really did to me was made Cooper look ineffective.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be his big foil.
Yes.
And if this big foil is basically Jim Carrey in The Master of Disguise, we have problems now.
You mean Dana Carvey, Master of Disguise?
Yeah, Dana Carvey. Yeah, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. And a quick aside, because we didn't bring up, so Catherine reveals to Pete that
Well, there's Tom Eckert, and then there's Andrew Packard.
Andrew Packard's alive.
Yes.
We find out that Andrew Packard had faked his death, moved to California, and started the Silver Shamrock Mask Company. After his Stonehenge plan to create these masks to kill all the children foiled, he went back to Twin Peaks. Do you not agree, Paul?
Boy.
I think my headcanon's better than the actual canon.
I think your headcanon's better than the actual canon. It would have been amazing had they had those two put in there together. But yeah, no, it's somehow, some way, Andrew Packard lived, and now they also kind of bring in this Eckert guy, who's supposed to be another big bad, who's just worthless, which sucks because he's played by a great actor.
Yeah.
And
his assistant is Sue Ellen Mischke, the braless wonder from Seinfeld.
Yes. And it just doesn't, like, the problem with these episodes are they didn't go, like, you watch this block, like Joe and I watched this block, you guys. It's very easy to see why the show was canceled.
Yeah, I was wishing it was getting canceled as I was watching it.
Yeah, it just
Just
goes.
put it up. It's like that clip from The Simpsons, like stop, stop, he's already dead.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Homer's
and
bludgeoning the Hamburglar to death.
now Joe's not going to talk about James, so I will, because he's going to throw this fucking hate storm on me.
Not going to talk about James. In fact, we're not going to talk about James at all.
Oh, right. I will talk about James because I need to let this out. This is the worst fucking story arc in the history of television. And I'm talking, this makes Oliver from the Brady Bunch look like it was fucking good. All right. It all this served was to get James away, the actor away from Laura Flynn Boyle, and all this did was because on the other side you had Cooper that wasn't allowed to be around Sherilyn Flynn. All right, this is essentially what fucking happened, and so James thinks that it's their fault that Laura's dead and Maddie's dead. So he leaves and goes to Portland, Oregon, where nothing else from the show is going on. And he meets a woman named Evelyn Marsh who wants him to repair her husband's Jaguar. This is from another movie. I mean, this is straight up like copyright infringement from another fucking movie. And
basically Double Indemnity, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Double Indemnity. And it's the worst thing. And it basically, it didn't serve anything because when he comes back, Donna forgives him for everything and asks him to come back home and be with him, and he's like, no, I'm not feeling right, and leaves. And that's basically it. Like, James is gone from the show. Yep. That's it.
I'm sorry, I blacked out there.
Yeah. I mean,
no, it's bad. And remember the days when our nitpicks were about Hank Jennings sucking on a domino,
right,
and making phone calls that just seemed unrealistic. And now here we are with this whole James bullshit.
It eats up a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of real estate. Basically, the real estate of the show. It's a 45-minute long show, and some of these James store scenes take up at least, it feels like 20 minutes of a 45-minute show, which is so he's getting half the airtime.
He's getting half the airtime. Nothing
to do with what's going on in the rest of the show.
No, it's just this. I mean, if there had been some kind of thread that was going to lead to something, like Bob's inhabiting one of the fucking people, okay, I can be on board with that. But it doesn't go anywhere.
No, it eventually, Evelyn cops to the murder or whatever. Fucking her and her real. Who cares? Who cares? God damn it, we're talking about it.
Well, I brought it up because I just wanted to get it out of the way. Yeah, what else happens?
I think that's. It may seem like we glossed over it. We did. I mean, the little Nicky thing is like the worst.
I'm not talking.
It's like there's a scene where Andy and Tremaine think this kid killed his parents when he was 6. This is how stupid this show gets. And this is from somebody who loves Twin Peaks, but it's stuff like this that tells me to say fuck Twin Peaks to an extent. There's like a bubble of little Nicky wearing devil horns and fire, and I swear I just wanted to just bust my TV and just fucking Call it like we're done. This podcast is over. I can't take it.
I'm sorry, were you talking? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, it's just.
I think I hate the Nikki thing more than I hate the James thing.
Yeah, I think just as bad. It doesn't help that Dick Tremaine's more obnoxious than Evelyn Marsh. I mean, the actress plays that Evelyn Marsh is like pretty benign. Uh, but Dick Tremaine, man, like I'm sure that the actor who plays him is a nice guy. But Jesus Christ, man, he is fucking grating.
And you know what? If he played him right. I mean, you hate him, get right or wrong, you played the character right.
It would have been fine for one episode. But now he's getting a lot of real estate on these episodes, and what's being buried is the stuff we want to see.
Yeah, it's the Wyndham
mystery.
Earl, it's the mystery, it's the White Lodge, it's the Black Lodge, it's where is Bob this entire fucking time? Bob escaped, and we don't have anything on Bob.
No, we don't. We get some glimpses of the owl, which I assume is him leading Wyndham Earl. So he, we've talked this, like he leads Wyndham Earl to Twin Peaks because this is his plan to take over Cooper. I don't think Bob had ever any intention of using Wyndham Earl as his avatar. This guy's escaped from a loony bin. He's just going to get put back in.
See, now again, I think they would have done themselves well if he had, because now you have the two main bads in one person, and everything's leading to Wyndham Earl and Bob. Like, I think that should have happened. Like, that's my thought on it.
It'd be nice, but with this writing, I'm glad it didn't.
Well, there's that.
This writing was so shit. Like, God damn, this is bad. I knew it was going to be bad. And I went in with purposely low expectations. You know, 'cause that's how I go into things that I think are going to be bad. I get my expectations low, so if they're not as bad, at least it's a little no, this is bad. This was just like, I was in a foul mood all day as I was watching this.
Yeah, dude, I've been watching these things going, son of a bitch.
God damn it.
So you had mentioned, in order to get away from this, because we really glossed over, I mean, we really went into everything that happened in these episodes.
Yeah. I mean, we glossed over, but we didn't. It's amazing. We went over 6 episodes and didn't leave anything out.
No, we didn't. We didn't leave a damn thing out.
That's the sad thing, that this was all fluff. This was a 6-episode stretch where we got maybe 10 minutes worth of our time.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you want to bring up? Because you had mentioned at the beginning of this thing, before you and I started recording, you had some ideas.
Paul. Let's break this up a bit. Let's get away from the Joe down a bit. Let's get into a little more of the cast of that movie area.
Fair enough, sir. I like that idea.
And you guys do games where you kind of do your top whatever?
Yes.
How about this? Let's do our top 3 Lynch projects.
Ooh. Okay. All right, you start, sir. What is your number 3?
1 is the very one. So let's start at 3.
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. What is your third favorite Lynch project?
I'm going to say Wild at Heart.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll tell you what, I Lynch here, I think this was such a strange movie out of his, because he doesn't really go back. It's very pulpy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got like a lot of like early 90s Pulp Fiction vibe, but even though it came out before Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
It's got very warm tones in the filming. It doesn't get into the surreal, which is another weird thing with Lynch, except for the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But what really sells it to me is like, this is like it's one of those performances. I think Laura Dern did an amazing performance.
She's awesome.
She did great in this, and Nicolas Cage, this is one of the few times I sincerely thought he did a pretty solid job.
I think it's his best role.
Yes.
Next to Raising Arizona.
Yeah, like he does goofy, and I wish he would have, I'm sure since Cage is like such a monster to work with. I'm sure Lynch never wanted to work with him again. I
Absolutely.
never heard any behind the scenes friction, but
I'm gonna guess there's a big reason why he
yeah,
wasn't brought back.
because Lynch typically works with people he likes a lot. So
Uh-huh.
you see people who are not in his movies after like one shot or whatever. There's a reason. So yeah,
Agreed.
Wild at Heart, and there is like some weird like Willem Dafoe's teeth,
Yes.
and the fact that he went to a dentist and got dentures to look like that, and Lynch didn't know he was doing it, and he just showed up to set filming it, and he had those in his mouth, and Lynch was like, "Perfect."
Yeah. Yeah. I love Lynch. Only three, huh?
Yeah, only three.
This is
I'm gonna do
tough.
five, but I wanted to put you on the hot spot.
Yeah, this is really tough. I'm gonna go out there, and I'm going to say my for a David Lynch project, my favorite is, or my third favorite is probably the Dark Knight of the Soul project.
The music project.
The music and the art project, because there's a book that goes with it as well, which was the music project with Danger Mouse and Sparkle Horse. And there was so much that went on behind the scenes of this thing, of trying to get this released. This was done a while before it came out. And
which is typical for Lynch music projects.
hmm well, the problem with this one was that so it was a legal dispute with EMI, and that there was talk that the album was never going to be released, but they released the art book and bundled it with blank CDRs. And for they said all the copies were said for legal reasons, enclosed CDR contain no music. Use as you will, because they had leaked a portion of the album out. But the problem was you had all these different artists. You had Danger Mouse, you had Sparkle Horse, you had the Flaming Lips, Rough Rise, Jason Lytle, Julian Casablancas, Black Francis, also known as Frank Black from the Pixies, Iggy Pop, James Mercer. You had all of these parties that were involved. The lead singer of the Cardigans, Nina Pearson, Suzanne Vega sings a song on the damn thing. So there was all these problems with it, and Sparkle Horse killed himself, and basically that's what they believe got the album released, was Mark Linkous committing suicide is what got, and also Vic Chestnut committed suicide after this album. These were the last two albums they ever worked on. But it is so brilliant and brilliantly done, and David Lynch does my favorite song on the album, and that's why I said, when you hear the Red Room or the Pink Room music, you hear that was written by Lynch. And I just think that this to me was just there's a lot of seepingness to this album. So that's my take on it.
Nice.
That's my number 3.
Yeah, his music projects also historically take a long time. He produced Krista Bell's, I think, her first album, and it took like over a decade.
And who is Krista Bell, by the way, so people know?
She plays Tammy Preston in The Return. She's a very very talented singer, songwriter. Lynch kept telling her, you got to be patient for something good to happen, because he ended. If you read Room to Dream, he kind of like he's with so many projects that it kind of takes a back burner some of the times because he gets distracted by other things.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, he's just notorious for
yes,
the projects that he's going to do them, then he doesn't puts it off or whatever.
So what is your number 2, sir?
All right, I know a lot of Lynch fans. They're gonna number 2 for me is Eraserhead.
Okay.
A lot of Lynch fans would say put it number 1, but it's not number 1 for me. In that I love it. It's just not something I want to watch all the time, but I really love it when I do watch it.
Yes.
It laid the groundwork for a lot of things we see, even in certain elements. With even as more direct stuff has elements of Eraserhead in it, like such as Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart. It's disturbing and it's hilarious, and I still don't really know what to think of it. And that's the best part. It's one of those movies where you're not supposed to think it. You're supposed to take it in like a painting.
Yes.
And you're supposed to let your emotions react to what you're seeing rather than intellectually try to digest it. And that's why I love it. It's like it's an hour and a half long painting.
It really is. It is art for art, and I don't think it's as weird as people think it is. I think it's actually artistic. I absolutely love Eraserhead.
It was fun. Fun fact: it was Charles Bukowski's favorite movie.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I love it. Radiator Girl. The ending, just everything. It puts you like just emotions. It just puts you through the ringer. It's great.
So I'm gonna get shit for my number 2, and I'm gonna get so much shit, but it really is. I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul's picking season 2 of Twin Peaks.
I'm picking Dune.
Dune, wow.
Dune. I love it. Now, I know there's the Lynch version out there, but there is just like there's with The Missing Pieces, there is a version out there which is like 4 hours long.
We should also say there's a 4 or 5 hour version long of just about every Lynch movie because he shows them. He screens you who used to screen these. So 5 hour version of Eraserhead.
Yep.
About 4 or 5 hour version of Dune.
Yep.
4 or 5 hour version of Blue Velvet. But he'll never do a director's cut because the version you see that's put out is his cut.
Yes. That said, I've seen the 4 or 5 hour version of Dune. I think it's 4.5 hours. And I am a Dune nerd. And Dune was the thing we're going to get, and I still think there's a lot of David Lynch in it, and in terms of the framing, in terms of the shooting. Also, when you look at there was such an enormous cast in that movie that you see a lot of everyone that's ever worked with Lynch is in Dune as well, maybe except Laura Dern. I absolutely love it, and it's to me it's super Lynchian in the regards of just the characters, the atmosphere, the things that he added to it that weren't in the books didn't bother me because it was Lynch's interpretation of it. I actually enjoy it. As a movie I can watch over and over and over.
It's definitely interesting. Just Sting being in it, I don't think I can ever forgive Lynch for that. I don't like Sting.
Fair
I
enough.
don't like anything about Sting.
Fair enough.
Him and James can ride a motorcycle off a cliff for all I care. But yeah, no, it's an interesting movie. I've read the books. I read up to, I think it was God Emperor, where the sun becomes a giant worm.
Yes.
And that's where I was just like, this is a bit much for me, and I just kind of stopped reading.
And that's essentially, I think, was the last Frank Herbert book.
Yeah, and it's like I think he was not well when he wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
He was older. It was just like big ideas, and so big ideas, and you're not exactly feeling well. It kind of suffers.
Yes.
It's not boring by any means, but it's it's so long and it gets exhausting after.
It's a very exhausting book, but it does kind of, I felt in a way, finalize a lot of things. So it's not a bad place to stop. So with that, then, what is your number one?
My number one is The Return,
Hmm.
the 18-hour long Twin Peaks movie. Obviously, with Twin Peaks being this podcast, what got me into Lynch, but I didn't want to use. I thought, as much as I like the first season, I love the first season, and I'll say I enjoy it as a popcorn viewer more than The Return. But The Return, from an analytical and artistic and whatever point of view, I am still just floored by it. It is like it's a culmination of all his work spread out over 18 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. It is by far the most Lynchian thing he has ever done. As you said, you can see all of his work in it.
You see elements of Dune, you see elements of Eraserhead, Wild at Heart, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, even elements of Straight Story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just I have to give it to it. Like that's
it's his swan song, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked. I don't think he'll do Twin Peaks again.
No.
Doing The Return almost killed him. He got sick quite often because it's just long and grueling, and he's not a spry chicken anymore. Mm-hmm. Spring chicken. And on top of that, it was ballsy, and it gave the finger to fan service, which is like such a kind of a punk rock thing to do.
Absolutely.
And the fan service you get is totally earned, and you take it in to like Dougie getting the cherry pie. You get the little glimpses of what's going on in Twin Peaks. I love it. To me, it was just the best thing he's done in my eyes. It was just great.
Yeah,
but we'll get into more detail of that in the next month or so.
Yeah, it is. It's by far his greatest work. It's his greatest body of work in my mind. Now, I know people are going to say, "What about Eraserhead? What about Blue Velvet?" Yes, I'm only allowed to pick three. I do love Blue Velvet. I do love Eraserhead. I love Elephant Man. I like Lost Highway. I like Mulholland Drive. I like Inland Empire. But
full disclosure, I still have not seen Inland Empire.
You haven't? Okay, you should.
It's kind of hard to get. I just see like Japanese imports on like Amazon and stuff. So
yeah, it's not the easiest thing. I think I watched it online is how I got it. But I don't own it. Oops. But it was because it's incredibly hard to get your hands on. But it is it's an investment. Inland Empire is an investment, especially if you watch like the super long version of it.
And that's the other thing. I don't know what version, like, because he's one of those guys. Like, this is my cut. I can't find what is considered his cut because it's such a weird thing to try to get your hands on.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to get your hands on. It's really, really, really not. I've only seen like I think it was the 5-hour Inland Empire. Somewhere along there. It was like really fucking long. And I watched it like shortly after it was released on DVD or was put out. So, but I mean, I'm not taking away from any of those bodies of work, but it's just one of those things where what we got with The Return, I mean, I am not someone that will sit by and watch something weekly. I am not. I will wait for something to be done and binge it. And I ordered, this, I ordered the Return. And
we both did.
We both did.
For this.
Yeah. Yep. And said that, and I watched it religiously every week. And was just every single week, I was enthralled in what was going on with it. And again, does something that I wish more directors would do and more cinematographers would do, which is the beats, and we'll get in this a lot in The Return, because he does it a lot. In order to create an uneasiness, he does something very simple. He just stays on a scene a little bit longer than you expect. And it does something to you. It makes you uneasy. You go, what the fuck is happening?
Oh yeah.
And it's just, yeah, The Return is by far, like, yeah, I've been everyone I tell everyone, you need to see The Return. You need to see The Return.
Yeah. And here's the thing, because this is kind of like what spearheaded this podcast, was we watched this and we would talk to each other on Facebook immediately
Yeah.
after the episode aired. Like each episode, we were just like, "Holy shit, you see that?" or whatever. And it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, and you appreciate it, and it's not always a fun watch. It's not always an easy watch, but
No.
it's captivating in a sense. It's just like, man, the balls David Lynch and Mark Frost had to say, we're going to bring back Twin Peaks and we're going to do it like this.
Yeah.
Imagine like the head of Showtime first reading that script or starting to see like the first episodes or whatever. Like, what?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm going to be fired for this.
Yeah. Oh, it was ballsy, and yet it got him a standing ovation.
Yep, it was got a standing ovation at Cannes. They filmed it at Cannes Film Festival.
Yep.
The last time he was at Cannes, he got booed for Fire Walk with Me.
Fire Walk with Me. He got a standing ovation for this one. So, yeah, and he deserved every minute of it, because, yeah, there was a lot of people that were very angry that they didn't get their damn fine coffee and their Audrey Horn.
Yeah.
That's not what it was about, and we'll get into that.
No, it flipped the script, and the fan service, you had to earn it. And we'll get to it, but the episode, I think it was episode 16, we finally get a glimpse of Cooper back, and I texted you, it was like, that was totally worth the journey to get that, to earn that fan service. And we'll talk about it when we get to that episode, but it was like, holy shit, that was earned. Like, you felt like you ran a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, and it made it that much more fulfilling and rewarding when you got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Abso-fucking-lutely. Woo! Wow.
Yeah.
I think this might be our shortest podcast yet, Joe.
And we did 6 episodes.
We did 6, but again, I got to go back to, we didn't leave anything out.
There's nothing to deep dive on here. We could, because we'll be getting a lot of the stuff we deep dived with the lodges, and we did that with the Fire Walk with Me podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The Briggs stuff we'll get into when we start talking about Secret History.
Yep.
Again, we only got 10 minutes and over 6 episodes of Briggs and the White Lodge. Wyndham Earl, I wish it was just executed a lot better. Kenneth Welsh is a great actor.
Great actor.
A stage actor.
Yeah, great actor. And
well guarded. He didn't have the direction.
No, he didn't have the writing, is what it was. He didn't have the writing.
Writing or the direction. A good director and a good writer, like, I don't know, ballpark of a good combo like that for Twin Peaks would be David Lynch and Mark Frost.
They had it, and they just... But, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to go into. Jacoby's back, but we already talked about that, so who cares?
Yeah, Jacoby. And they bring him back for Ben Horne's Civil War. And his descent just made zero sense to me. Like, I get the trauma of, like, almost going to prison.
Yep.
He's got the trauma of losing the mill and the Ghostwood to Catherine.
Yep.
Where does the Civil War fucking fit in this? He's in the north. Washington State is about as far north as you can get.
I don't.
and this is where it goes. I think as the writers, like this would be quirky and funny, and somebody should have just smacked the shit out of them
and
said,
said,
"No,
what the fuck are you doing?" Yeah. No, I completely agree. It was just awful. Again, James and Mart and Evelyn were. It didn't matter. Nothing there mattered. It didn't go anywhere, and it wasn't
Norm his
enjoyable.
mother," and that didn't go anywhere. We did get a brief cameo from David Lynch.
Yes, where he's
calls Cooper.
Yep. He calls Cooper to tell him that Dennis is coming.
Yeah, and it's literally phoned in.
Yes. Oh, I even questioned at first. I was like, God, that doesn't even sound like Lynch isn't even trying. He doesn't care. It's very phoned in.
I thought it was like maybe an actor playing Gordon at first because
that's what I thought too.
Doesn't sound like him, but it's credited as David Lynch. So.
Yep. Yeah, it didn't sound like him because he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I mean, other than that, this is like the worst 6 we could have done.
Yeah, and I'm glad this is the Band-Aid ripped off. It picks up a bit after.
Yeah, it does.
After this, not much. I think the last episode of the next 6, which is Miss Twin Peaks, is when things kind of, because it was around I think it's 27, 28. Path to Black Lodge and Miss Twin Peaks is when Mark Frost comes back for variations on Relations.
Yes.
So 26 is when this is when Lynch and Frost come back to try to right the ship.
Yes.
So the last 3 episodes of that at least will be somewhat a little bit more entertaining. This was bad to everybody. Like, again, we love Twin Peaks, but you could skip these episodes and be completely fine, and just watch the Briggs. There should be a supercut.
Yes.
Just the Garland Briggs scenes.
Yeah.
And the Cooper Wyndham Earl stuff, and just cut everything out, and you would not lose anything.
You wouldn't lose anything, and especially when you get to the return, none of this mattered.
No, none of it.
And I think that's part of the brilliancy of the return, is that it doesn't even. Hey, all that shit happened 25 years ago. It doesn't mean a dick now.
Yeah, Lynch does bring back weird elements of some from this stretch of like this stretch and the next stretch is they're almost like Easter eggs, and this with Briggs being the big link to a lot of this, but I think that was probably just in their plans anyway. Mr. C does have Wyndham Earl's suitcase, which I love, his suitcase telephone computer thing. But we can talk about that when we get to the return.
Yes. We can talk about that when we get to the return. So, Joe, what do we have going on, buddy? What's happening?
Well, this week for the Joe Down, me and Joe Brown are doing Pretty in Pink. That should be out either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Ooh.
And to follow that up is the most American movie I can think of is Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. The movie where he drives a Ford truck into a mall and shoots up a bunch of Russian terrorists.
Yes, sir. Ooh, you are.
Yeah.
Wow, you're getting into it there, aren't you?
Masochist. Yeah.
I know.
What's coming up with you, Paul?
So we will be dropping the next Cast That movie, which is going to be Street Fighter the movie.
Oh boy. Hold on to your hats, everybody. That's a story.
Yeah, I had 14 pages of notes for that one. I glossed over a lot of it, so that's something we could dig into another time as well. And then it's the dream project is the Macho Man story.
Ooh,
the life and times of Macho Man Randy Savage.
He was a complicated fella.
Yes, and I gloss over a lot because of it. And, there could be more that could have been said on that one. I will say that, but I think the castings were, are where it's at for those ones. You will be joining me for the following Cast That movie.
Yes, that is right. Poor Jode. He has other engagements, so I'm going to be pinch hitting for him, trying to be the straight man, which, trying to keep the conversation floored. But as anybody listening to the Fire Walk With Me podcast knows, that we're just going to go on tangents.
We are going to go on tangents. But we have a new project that we've decided on, didn't we, Joe?
Yes. Why don't you tell them about that?
So the reason why Joe is going to be sitting out the next Cast That Movie, and Joe will be sitting in, is because Joe's going to start putting together a podcast about The Office, which is going to have myself, Jode, and Joe. It will be the three of us. And the idea behind it is that we'll watch one episode. I am a novice to the Office, so my take on it's which is going to be very different from Cast That Movie and this podcast, which is I have no insights. I am watching 99.5% of these episodes for the very first time. So I'll be kind of giving my reaction to it as Joe and Jode kind of go into their love of The Office.
Yes, I love The Office. We'll get into it, but anybody who's ever worked in an office or seen Office Space, and it's one of those shows that just just hits home a lot of the time. But we'll get into that when we talk about
Yes. And I think that is why I avoided the show, to be honest with you, because almost all of my jobs were office jobs. So it's kind of like how I can't imagine that doctors watch ER because they just want to get away from it.
Yeah, I typically don't watch movies about journalism because that's just the world I'm in. I can't.
Yep. So I think for me, having like always being in an office was like, oh dear God.
Would you ever think of Office Space? Did I hit it a little too on the nose? I know it did for me working in an office. Like, I remember loving it when it came out, and then when I was finally in an office environment, it was like, oh no, this is all true. This is all 100% true.
Yeah, I like the it does. It really rings true, but it also, I mean, it's Mike Judge bringing his, like this whole like outside the realm of normal Office. From what I've seen from The Office, though, it's a little too close to home.
Yeah, the mundane nonsense.
So this will be interesting for me watching these things and hearing you guys just do it. And I'm going to be coming from the line of, my God, I remember going through that exactly on this day at my job. Like, I have a feeling this is going to bring back like memories that I block from different businesses I work for.
Yeah, we're triggering your Vietnam.
Yep. You guys are gonna get that trauma in there. So, yeah, that's really all we got. So then the next week's
another 6-episode block, like we discussed. Except the last half is when Lynch Frost comes back. We're through the thick of the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, it won't be as glossed over, I think, as these 6.
We're going to go into a little more details, especially when it gets to, I believe, Variations on Relations, Path to the Black Lodge, and Miss Twin Peaks.
Yes, absolutely. Those ones actually have substance to them, I feel.
Yes. This was just... yeah, I feel kind of bad. The last one we reviewed of this, or last one we watched, was actually directed by Diane Keaton.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy. Like, they didn't really have that many celebrity guest directors that people really knew of. Diane Keaton was a pretty big name. I don't know if that was just to try to get buzz to get people watching, but I think at this point it was already unwatchable for most people.
Yeah. So here's this is something we can go through real quick, I guess, since we're kind of at the end. But let's get into this a little bit. So, Caleb Deschanel,
isn't that the father of the Deschanel sisters?
Yes. Yep. Directed one, Diane Keaton, we just talked about. Dwayne Durham.
Dwayne Durham's a long time Yeah, Lynch guy. He worked on Return of the Jedi and Blue Velvet. I think he worked on some of the Halloween movies too.
Hmm. Yes. Graham Clifford directed Joan of Arcadia and Sisters. Um, James Foley, Jonathan Sanger, who also helped on Elephant Man and L.A. Law. Leslie Linka Glatter, who has done The Walking Dead, True Blood, Mad Men. Stephen Gyllenhaal, who's the father of Maggie and Jake, who's also done The Mentalist, Blue Bloods. Tim Hunter, who did some of Breaking Bad, Dexter, and American Horror Story. Todd Holland, who's done Friends and 30 Rock.
Yeah,
Um,
this is kind of where some of these people cut their teeth on.
yeah, absolutely. And Uli Edel, who did Oz and Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, absolutely. Tina Rathborn, who went on, was known for directing and writing Zelly and Me, um, worked on Twin Peaks. Obviously, Mark Scott, Mark Frost. Yeah, I mean, there was some really famous people that worked on.
Yeah, a lot of people went on to direct really great things, really directed a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
And
James.
let's also look at some of the names here from writings, and these. This is why I'm surprised. Robert Engels wrote a lot of these 6 episodes, or
Yes.
and Harley Payton did too. Robert Engels co-wrote Firewalk with me, and watching these makes me really question how much of the writing process he partook in.
Right. Right.
Because, uh, yeah, it's. I mean, he wasn't asked back for the return. A lot of these.
No. No. And one of the other directors I want to bring up that Jode actually picked for one of our projects was James Foley, who had done Glenn Ross.
Excellent movie.
Excellent movie.
Yeah,
Um,
but he also did 50 Shades.
he did the 50 Shades.
Yeah, so fuck that guy.
Yes, but you had a lot of writers on this as well, and it was um
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Go
just
ahead.
feel bad. You feel bad for these because they're thrown in, and it's in the mid. You have to understand this. This wasn't like at the beginning of a season where they can kind of craft it as their own. This is like dead in the center of a 20 plus episode season where the showrunners walked away.
Hmm.
And I'd like to give them credit for doing a good job, but they didn't. Uh,
No.
let's just say, I mean, they didn't do good. They didn't. The writing sucked. The direction sucked. And I, who do you fault but them? I mean this. People would be like, "That's pretty harsh and pretty cynical," but at the end of the day, you have to. Who was responsible for this? And it's these people.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the writers real quick. So Harley Payton helped with the screenplay for Less Than Zero. Um,
Which is,
this
if you read the book, you'll understand why that screenplay and movie eventually sucked because it took all the darkness out of it and the nihilism of Bret Easton Ellis's.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It totally missed the point of the book.
Missed the point of the book. Then, I mean, to give you an idea, right after that, they went on to do Three Musketeers. I mean, come on. So yeah, I mean, The Bronx is Burning, Wedding Band, Dominion, Dark Matter, Channel Zero, which is something on um Shutter, which is very hit or miss. It's very hit or miss. Robert Ingalls wrote for Andromeda, Sequest DSV, um, Wise Guys. Didn't really do a whole lot of great stuff. Barry Pullman is known for Against the Law, Twin Peaks, Nightmare Cafe, wrote for Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, Roswell, New Amsterdam, and Trisha Brock was brought in because she done Knots Landing and Family Law, and had done The Car Kid, and has done episodes of Grey's Anatomy, Veronica Mars, Ugly Betty, The L Word, Gossip Girls, Breaking Bad. I mean, Trisha is like the star. Unfortunately, when it came down to the writing credits, Trisha didn't really get into it till The Condemned Woman.
Yeah.
About it, yeah. I mean, there's just not a
Let's just
lot
call
to
it what
say.
this was throwing everything at the wall to
Yeah,
see what sticks, and it shows. And again, it's these people attach their name to it. They shit the bed.
yeah, they
Uh,
really shit the bed.
I mean, I want to like. I'm sure that after 30 years of being crapped on, like us continuing it doesn't help, but it makes me feel good.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
sat through this. I watched this.
yeah,
Like, just because you did some good things after you fucking destroyed the show I love,
right,
it
right. No,
doesn't
absolutely.
doesn't excuse you from this.
No, no. So I think there was a lot that went wrong, and there's not much else you can say about these 6 episodes.
No, it just there's nothing that's it it's it goes it just goes over the top ridiculous, and they just didn't have a game plan, and it shows, and it's painful.
Mhm.
It's not these 6 episodes are not fun to watch.
No,
Even
no,
like even like the latter half of the next 6 episodes, at least they're stupid, but at least there's things I can enjoy in them. These just really didn't have anything besides Briggs, Cooper, and the idea of a better Wyndham Earl.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, like this, I think was the worst block we could have done.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got it out of the way.
100%, 100%. Me too, because I know I'm going to start enjoying it a little bit more as we
Yes,
start moving on.
yeah, and again, everybody, tell us your theories, your ideas. If you love these episodes that we just
Yeah,
took a giant took a giant crap on, tell us why we're wrong. We're open to listening.
I am. I mean, is there some deeper meaning to some of this stuff that we missed that we're not seeing because I don't fucking see it?
Yeah, I don't see it either, but I mean, somebody could find something and be like, "Hey, have you thought of it this way?" And be like, "Oh, okay." We're open minded on this. Just for
Absolutely.
calling
I'm
Mike
not.
Snake, I am not budging on that.
But he's Snake. He's even
God
called Snake
damn
in
it.
the movie. He's called Snake in the movie.
I don't care. I do not care. David Lynch can be wrong too. And that was an Engels writing thing.
Yeah, that was an Ingalls writing thing. That
Just
was
to
Ingalls.
piss me off. That was probably the only thing he contributed.
Bobby's gonna call Mike Snake. There, put my name on that, David. Give me my royalties.
I think we've hit the end of this, Paul. It's
All
time
right.
for us to hit the old dusty trail. And why don't you take us out?
We are not gonna talk about